Hello, and welcome to Stuff and Things with Chris. I'm your host, Chris. So today it's my continuing series of how to battle the COVID-19 blues. Maybe you're stuck at home. Maybe you're self-imposing a quarantine for yourself. Maybe you're just bored out of your mind because everything around you is closed. I'm here to help. I've got some great shows on Netflix that you can binge watch and pass the time. Today we're going to be talking about cop shows, and in particular what they call police procedurals. Now these are where the detective or a group of detectives go and try to solve the big crime and find the bad guy. This is a category of shows that Netflix is really good at. This is probably the best group of shows on Netflix overall. Now, because it's Netflix, these come from all over the world. So if you are scared of subtitles, you better be prepared, because almost all these shows have subtitles. You're going to have to deal with it. If you can't figure out how to get past the subtitles, you're going to miss an awful lot of cool stuff out there. These shows give you a great insight into what it's like to live in a lot of foreign countries and the goings-ons that happen in those places. These are very dramatic shows. There's a lots of ups and downs in them. Mostly these shows center around a central character who has been pushed off into the farther reaches of society because he has had some things in his past which have caused him a lot of trouble. So he's trying to not only solve murder cases, but he's also trying to kind of battle the demons in his own head. So with that all being said, we're going to go ahead and get right into it. Hinterland. Hinterland is from BBC. Now, it came out a few years ago. It's not real recent, but it's early 2010s. If you have seen Mystery, it was on that, so you may be a little bit familiar with it. It stars Richard Harrington as Tom Mathias, a DCI, which is the British equivalent of a detective, who has been shipped off into the sticks, or the hinterland, of Wales. This is not Cardiff, Wales. This is the coastline of Wales. It's a very isolated little village he's in. He goes there to escape the demons of his past. However, he soon discovers that what he's trying to get away from embroils itself in this little new setting he has, and he's involved in conspiracies, and he's involved in murder, and he's got to figure out how it all fits together. There's 3 seasons of this show. It's really good. I highly recommend it. The lead character in this is a great character. The actor is really good at what he does. That's a great show to check out, Hinterland. And it's in English, no subtitles required, so you should be able to just dive right into it. Next, we're going to go on to one of my favorites in this category, The Break. This is a Belgian show, so it's in French. Yes, there are subtitles. Deal with it, people. Okay, it stars Johan Blanc as Detective Johan Peters. Again, this is another show about a detective seeking to get away from the demons of his past by going to a village where hopefully the lifestyle is slow enough that he can kind of recover. Now, the title of this show, The Break, is literally about the lead character Johan's mental break he had while on the job investigating a case. It has haunted him to the point where he has basically had to check out. And he's kind of just gotten back to work. He literally had to take time off of work. And he has taken up this new job in this little village where, unfortunately for him, it is full of all kinds of wackiness, weirdos, and death. There's a big conspiracy. It entails many different subjects. It's a twist and turn everywhere you look. Johan Peters is excellent in this. He is the reason to watch this show. In fact, he won some awards for his acting for this show. He is really good. This is one of my top picks in this category. It's one of my top 10 shows on Netflix overall. This is a fantastic show, The Break. There's 2 seasons. Season 2 just came out. Check both of these out. You will not regret it. Next on the list is Bordertown. This is a Finnish production. That means it's from Finland. That means they talk in Finnish. That means there's subtitles. You're going to have to deal with that again. This particular show deals with a character named Kari who is shipped off to a village on the border with Russia. So this show gets into a lot about the history and current dealings between Finland and Russia. It's kind of little brother and the big brother. It's a complicated history that goes back a couple of 100 years or more. So Kari, the detective in this one, who is played by, let me make sure I get it right, Ville Vertman, which may or may not be right. I'm going with that. He is a complicated character. He was a very successful detective in the big city he came from. However, he caused a whole lot of problems with the brass. And so they kind of got tired of how he does things. He's very bulldogish and very gets hold of the case and doesn't let it go and doesn't particularly follow procedures very well. So they kind of punished him by sending him off into this little village. But luckily for him, he stumbles upon what appears to be a massive conspiracy between the Russian mafia and the Finnish government. So he's right back in the middle of some giant case. Very good. Again, this is an older, more mature detective trying to battle with his past while trying to solve a crime in the present. This is a very good show too. There are 2 seasons on Netflix. Hopefully they'll add some more because in Finland, I think they're up to season 3 or 4 now. Check this one out, Bordertown. Very good also. Next on my list is Broadchurch. Now, Broadchurch is a BBC show. If you have BBC America, it ran on BBC America for a while. Every now and then, they still show a few episodes of it. It stars David Tennant of Doctor Who fame and Olivia Colman. Now, this is a show about a murder that happens in a village in the county of Dorset. It is Broadchurch is the name of the village. It's a little coastal town. Olivia plays that town's police presence. So Scotland Yard feels she's not up to the case. They send in David Tennant from Scotland Yard. And so you have a lot of friction between these 2 police characters as they go about trying to solve the crime 2 different ways. They kind of butt heads. David Tennant's character butts heads with the locals. It's a really good show. There's 3 seasons of it. So basically each season solves one particular crime. Very good show. I like this show a lot too. David Tennant is spectacular in this. Olivia Colman is very good as well. This is a very good show. I would definitely check this one out. And it's in English, so you don't have to worry about subtitles. Another one you can just dive straight into. Also a show that you can dive straight into is Jack Taylor. Now this is actually a series of TV movies the BBC put out. Now Jack Taylor is played by Ian Glenn. He was in Game of Thrones. He played the very lovesick, forlorn Sir John Mortman, who followed Daenerys Targaryen around all the way till the very end. He is a fantastic actor. Now, if you just want to watch great acting, watch this show. Each one of these movies is about an hour 20, hour and 30 minutes long. They are all really good. There are 9 of them on Netflix. They classified as 1 season, so it will take a little longer to get through them all. It is totally worth it. Jack Taylor is a former policeman who has been kicked out for being an alcoholic and for being corrupt, kind of the double whammy. So when we meet him, he is a private investigator solving crimes. He is a tough watch, man. He is all over the place in this. He basically is trying to win back some positive morality to his life, and it's not easy for him. He has a lot of personal demons he is fighting with, like some of these other characters in these shows, but he may have the hardest time doing it. It is a great show to watch as he tries to battle himself, the corruption around him, the actual heinous crimes that he's been investigating. His interaction with the police force, some of whom like him and some of whom hate him, is pretty interesting. His interactions with his actual clients are pretty interesting because sometimes they really don't trust that he's going to be able to get the job done because he seems like he's just a drunk. It's a great show. I highly recommend you check it out. Again, it's in English. You can just dive straight in, watch one. I guarantee you'll watch another one. Next on the list, we have Case. Now, Case is from Iceland. I'm not even going to attempt to name the people involved with this, so we're just going to go with character names. It stars Logi. Now, Logi's a little different. He's not a cop. He's a defense lawyer. So there is a tiny village in Iceland where a girl is found having apparently committed suicide by hanging herself at her dance studio. So Logi kind of hears about it. He's not the primary investigator at first, but he and his girlfriend, who was also his associate and researcher, whose name is Broomhilda, not kidding you, Broomhilda, they kind of start hearing about it and they decide they're going to investigate because it seems like it's not quite on the up and up. It is a great show. If you want to hear what Icelandic sounds like, it's a great opportunity to do that. There's some great scenery in it. It is subtitled, thank goodness, because otherwise you'd have no idea what was going on, I'm pretty sure. Great show again. Another one of these morally ambiguous characters. What makes Logi different is that he is not a policeman, so he's not bound by the same set of laws the policemen are. And he's really one of these guys who pushes it to the extreme. What is he willing to do to get the answers to the truth? That's a big part of what this show is about, and it is fantastic. I like this one a lot too. Again, there's more Scandinavian weirdness going on here, a lot like Bordertown. Still, check it out. It's another great show. Now we're going to get into Sacred Games. Now, Sacred Games is what I consider the best cop show on Netflix. Now, luckily, it is dubbed. It's Indian, and it involves a police officer named Sartaj Singh. And he gets a phone call one day from someone claiming to be Ganesh, who is a leader in the criminal underground of Mumbai, which is where this show takes place. And he sets Sartaj on a kind of mission. The bad guy tells the good guy, basically, that in a certain number of hours, something terrible is going to happen in the city. So the police officer is then tasked with trying to figure out what is going to happen and how he can stop it. And he gets little bits and clues from Ganesh. It also goes back in time, and you see there's a relationship between the younger Ganesh when he was up and coming in the Mumbai underground and Sartaj's father. They apparently knew each other. This is an unbelievably good show. The tension in this is through the roof. The acting in it is top notch. It is an amazing show to watch. You can watch it dubbed, like I said, so that'll help you get through it if you just don't want to deal with the subtitles. It is very fast paced. It is not a slow procedural by any means because, again, they're up against the clock. There's a lot of conspiracy stuff here. There's a lot of shots of the streets of Mumbai. It's just a fantastic show. I can't recommend it enough. It's my #1 cop procedural show on Netflix, my #2 overall on Netflix. Highly recommend it. Season 2 came out at the beginning of the year. I'm already into it. Again, another great show. Lastly, I want to mention a show called Green Frontier. It's Colombian. Also, it's subtitled, it's in Spanish, so if you know Spanish, you might be able to keep up, although they do speak pretty fast, which means the subtitles aren't there for very long, so you kind of have to really pay attention to get all the nuances of the show. But what makes it unique is it involves two things. One, a female policewoman who is sent in by the state police, and two, the crime, which is a murder of four female missionaries, are murdered in the rainforest. Now, there is a police department for the Amazon. They call themselves the Amazon Police. It says so on the building. However, they are incredibly corrupt. So when the lead character comes to investigate this, some of these guys have never seen a female policewoman. Some of them didn't know they even existed. She butts heads a lot with all the guys in the department. She butts heads with the natives, who are also like, why is this woman here talking to me about this? She is a great character. She is very by the book and by the rules. The show takes a different turn about halfway through the season, where you get into a lot of mystical things, a lot of mystical elements. There's a lot of mystery about our lead character and where she came from and what happened to her parents. There's a whole undercurrent of mysticism involving some native peoples, and particularly some shaman in these tribes who seem to live forever and never get old. There's a lot of interaction between the desires and wants of the so-called civilized world and how these indigenous people are living in the jungle. It is a good show. It has a lot in it. It is not quite at the same level as the other shows I've mentioned. It is good. The mysticism kind of gets it a little bit off track. It's a little hard to follow exactly what all is going on with that. But the show is good. The characters in it are good. The acting's good. It's a great setting, something you're not going to see a lot of shows doing. They're literally in the middle of the jungle and she's walking around trying to find evidence. I mean, it's really pretty good. There's a cool little semi-documentary after the last episode where they talk to the people who made the show, and they're like, yeah, we put the cameras in the middle of the jungle, and they show you the behind the scenes stuff. It's really pretty interesting for that reason. A lot of the actors in it are indigenous people. Some of them were actors already, some of them weren't. So that's a pretty cool vibe you get from that. Check it out if you'd like. It's a little bit longer. Each episode is an hour and a half, maybe a little less than that sometimes. Kind of depends on the episode. And then some of the episodes are really short, like 30 minutes. So, it's a little weird from that standpoint because they're not all the same length. But I had an enjoyable time watching it, but it's not as good as the other ones. So there you have it. There's my list of the best shows to binge that are cop shows on Netflix. Now, if you can't handle that many, that sounds like too much depression for you for a long time of watching stuff. I'll tell you this. Watch Sacred Games and The Break. Those are the best two shows in this category. They're two of my top 5 on Netflix. Sacred Games is my number 2 on all of Netflix, everything they've got. Okay. If you watched my video about sci-fi fantasy shows, you know what my number 1 is. That's The Kingdom. Again, I'm going to plug that every chance I get. Go check that one out. It is completely different than anything you've ever seen and way better than the endless wanderers in The Walking Dead. Now, if you have some shows that I left off that you like, let me know what those are. Maybe I've seen them, maybe I haven't. I'll check them out. If you have some shows you're thinking about watching, but you're not sure you want to commit to, leave those down in the comments section below, and I will check them out. Maybe I've already seen them, so I can let you know if they're worth it watching or not. Also, make sure to hit the like button, the subscribe button, and the bell so you know when I have new reviews coming out. I'm going to be putting out a couple more videos covering a couple more categories of the next days, so you are fully armed to battle away the boredom. Until then, I will talk to you later. Thanks.